The film starts with a fleet of vehicles belonging to government officials. They are accompanying a youthful individual from a gang to the courthouse. This young fellow is eager to share details about all the mischief his gang has been involved in. As they approach the courthouse, they notice a federal agent named Hell closely monitoring the young gang member. Suddenly, an unidentified person appears out of nowhere and fatally injures the youth. In the following scene, we find ourselves in a correctional facility. There is an individual named Zaid who has just roused from an afternoon nap. Engaging in a game of chess, Zaid observes a fresh inmate being targeted by others. Zaid empathizes with the new individual and extends an invitation to play chess, swiftly silencing the bullies who are intimidated by Zaid. Subsequently, Zaid decides to assist the newcomer in acclimating to life behind bars. The next day, the prison warden summons Zaid to a room because someone wishes to converse with him. It turns out to be Hell, who clarifies that she is on a mission to apprehend a gang leader named Muter. She also notes that Muter's gang members were expected to disclose incriminating information in court. Unfortunately, those gang members met a grim fate near the courthouse, mirroring the events depicted at the beginning of the movie. The following day, Muter and some of his associates gathered at their usual gathering spot for discussions. Muter had unraveled that the betrayer within his crew was Michael, prompting Muter to pressure Michael to confess. Initially, Michael denied any wrongdoing, leading Muter to instruct Jimmy and Zaid to interrogate him. After enduring considerable distress, Michael eventually acknowledged divulging information about the drug delivery to Boba's gang. He did so out of fear for his mother's safety. Muter then inquired if Michael had planted a GPS in his car or collaborated with the police. Despite Michael's assurances that he hadn't, Muter remained skeptical, ultimately resulting in Michael's unfortunate demise. Subsequently, Zaid met with Hell and provided her with evidence, including Muter's voice recordings. Zaid also cautioned Hell about Muter recruiting young individuals into his operation, prompting Zaid to implore Hell to promptly apprehend Muter. Feeling the pressure and concerned about his cover being exposed soon, Zaid expressed his anxiety to Hell. In response, Hell encouraged Zaid to persevere until the opportune moment arrived, assuring him that she would indeed arrest Muter the next day. On a brighter note, Zaid and Jansen were observed enjoying quality time together on the playground. Zaid was growing closer to his son, engaging in various games that brought immense joy to Jansen. Inquisitive Zaid inquired of Hell why he should be involved. Hell responded by assuring Zaid of his freedom but emphasized that, in return, he must be her vigilant ally in exposing Muter's misdeeds. Recognizing that Zaid might be yearning for his family after enduring a lengthy prison stay, Hell disclosed that she'd await Zaid's decision until the following day. Returning to his cell, Zaid, with a thoughtful gaze upon a picture of his son Jansen, grappled with the dilemma of embracing Hell's proposal. When Hell revisited to ascertain Zaid's commitment, he affirmed his willingness. Hell then revealed the crucial step: Zaid must attract the attention of a certain individual named Otto, underscoring that a deal with Otto was the gateway to infiltrating Muter's operation. In the prison yard, Zaid pondered ways to capture Otto's interest. Eventually, he opted to confront a fellow inmate associated with Otto, a move that landed him in solitary confinement due to the guard's intervention. After a brief stint in isolation, Zaid was approached by Otto, who questioned the reason behind Zaid's confrontation. Zaid explained it was a strategic move during his wait for release, and Otto, aware of Zaid's assertiveness, extended a job offer recognizing Zaid's capabilities. Upon his release, Zaid faced a condition: he had to take care of business in cell 157. Reluctantly, Zaid accepted the task. That evening, he approached cell 157 and carried out the assignment as instructed by Otto. From that point forward, Zaid became a part of Otto's group, dutifully following instructions. Upon leaving prison, Otto informed Zaid that someone would pick him up that night. Once free, Zaid attempted to reconnect with his wife at her workplace, only to discover an unexpected revelation: his wife was pregnant, but not with his child. Despite this, Zaid maintained a resilient facade, asserting that his sole interest was seeing his son Jansen. His wife agreed, suggesting they meet the next day. The following evening, individuals sent by Otto picked up Zaid. However, the situation took an unpleasant turn in the car when a person named Jimmy, affiliated with Muter, revealed his close ties with the gangster boss. Jimmy sternly warned Zaid about the consequences of betrayal. After the warning, they released Zaid. The next day, Zaid visited his ex-wife's residence, where he encountered her new husband and, at last, had the opportunity to see Jansen, the son he hadn't seen in a considerable amount of time. The meeting was initially awkward, as Jansen was meeting his biological father for the first time. Later, Zaid rendezvoused with Helen, the leader of the federal agents, at an art gallery. Helen conveyed to Zaid that he needed to spill the beans on all of Muter's crimes to pave the way for a return to a normal life. She equipped Zaid with a GPS device and a recording gadget for the mission. One evening, while Zaid was in his apartment, Jimmy approached him urgently and requested him to join them. They all piled into a car, and Zaid's head was covered with a cloth. They drove to an undisclosed location, and upon arrival, they unveiled Zaid's head. It turned out they had brought Zaid to attend to a gunshot wound on one of the gang members. What's surprising is that Zaid used to be a renowned surgeon in the city. As Zaid was about to tend to the wounded gangster, Jimmy continued to insult him. Frustrated, Zaid requested Jimmy and the others to leave so he could concentrate on the surgery. However, Jimmy resisted and pointed his gun at Zaid, claiming he couldn't be giving orders. Fortunately, Mahdur intervened and halted the chaos. Mahdur instructed everyone to leave, except himself, as the injured individual was his nephew. Leveraging his medical expertise, Zaid successfully removed the bullet from Mahdur's nephew's leg. Subsequently, Mahdur expressed gratitude to Zaid for assisting his nephew. A few days later, Mahdur's crew, including Zaid, decided to visit another gang led by a guy named Boba. Mahdur inquired if Boba was interested in starting a conflict with his gang. However, Boba responded that he was solely interested in conducting business, emphasizing that they should focus on their affairs without causing any trouble. Boba also apologized for shooting Mahdur's nephew in the leg, clarifying that it happened because Mahdur's nephew was attempting to shoot him first. Upon hearing this, Mahdur instructed Boba to conduct his business in the eastern part of Quetta but still pay taxes to Mahdur. Subsequently, Mahdur's gang returned to their usual hangout spot. Zaid appeared to be establishing friendly connections with some of Mahdur's crew. Not long after, Zaid was taken aback to see his former neighbor, Diddy, now collaborating with Mahdur. Mahdur mentioned that Diddy was one of his top guys for drug deliveries. He then asked Zaid to step out, revealing a job for him. As Zaid left, he covertly planted a GPS tracker in Mahdur's car. Shortly after, Jimmy arrived with one of his associates, Michael. They instructed Zaid and Michael to transport some drugs concealed in a flower pot. Following that, they were required to take different routes back home. Jimmy reminded Zaid that any mistake would lead to significant trouble. To sum it up, Zaid and Michael reached their destination. Michael picked up his container of drugs and left ahead of Zaid. However, just as Zaid was about to depart, a group of individuals ambushed him in a hurry. Zaid cleverly attached the GPS tracker to the attacker's car. Following their departure, Zaid had no option but to tail them, and it turned out they were headed to Gangster Boba's headquarters. Zaid approached Boba's associates, expressing his desire to meet Boba and retrieve the stolen container. Observing that Zaid was alone, they allowed him in. Upon reaching their base, Boba was quite impressed with Zaid's courage in showing up solo. However, Boba emphasized that bravery alone wouldn't ensure Zaid's safety, as he intended to deal with him soon. In a pivotal moment, Zaid managed to seize Boba and recover the stolen drugs. Subsequently, Zaid made a swift getaway. In short, Zaid returned to Mahdur's place and explained the delay, attributing it to the robbery by Boba's crew. Initially skeptical, Mahdur needed proof. Zaid showed them a gun he had retrieved from Boba. Finally, Mahdur trusted Zaid, and they resolved to engage in a conflict with Boba's crew. The following day, Zaid met up with Helen and shared all the proof he had gathered about Mahdur's illegal activities. Zaid inquired if it was sufficient for Mahdur's arrest, but Helen indicated it wasn't. She encouraged Zaid to continue being her undercover operative until they could apprehend Mahdur. Later, Zaid ran into Diddy, who seemed uneasy about being associated with gangsters. Zaid advised Diddy to leave Mahdur's gang if an opportunity arose. Surprisingly, Diddy sought Zaid's help, as the individuals he had sold drugs to hadn't paid up, and he feared Mahdur's retaliation. Zaid intervened by ensuring the buyers settled their debts before things escalated. A few days later, Zaid, Diddy, and Mahdur's nephew were tasked with delivering drugs. However, Boba's gang attacked them in the car, resulting in the tragic death of Mahdur's nephew. Zaid and Diddy narrowly escaped by seeking refuge in a nearby shop. Helen, who had been discreetly observing, intervened to shield Zaid from the threat of Boba's gang. Unbeknownst to them, Diddy overheard their conversation. Shortly after returning to Mahdur's place, suspicions arose as Mahdur believed that one of his crew had betrayed him. He thought that Boba's gang and the police were aware of their drug delivery plans. The following day, Mahdur and some of his crew gathered at their usual meeting spot, not the most pleasant setting. Mahdur had suspected that Michael, a member of his crew, was the traitor. Mahdur then pressured Michael to confess, ordering Jimmy and Zaid to interrogate him. After enduring substantial pain, Michael admitted revealing information about a drug delivery to Boba's gang due to threats against his mother. Mahdur questioned whether Michael had planted a GPS or collaborated with the police, but Michael vehemently denied it. Unfortunately, Mahdur remained unconvinced and, regrettably, Michael lost his life. Subsequently, Zaid met with Helen and provided her with evidence, including voice recordings, related to Mudder's activities. Zaid also expressed concerns about Mudder recruiting young individuals into his illicit operations. Urging Helen to apprehend Mudder promptly, Zaid felt the pressure of his undercover role and the looming risk of exposure. Helen reassured Zaid to stay resilient until the opportune moment arrived, promising that Mudder would be arrested without fail. The next day, Zaid and Jansen were seen enjoying quality time on the playground. Zaid felt a growing bond with his son, exploring various games that brought genuine happiness to Jansen. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Mudder was questioning Diddy intensely. He was keen to understand how Zaid and Diddy managed to escape unscathed from the recent attack by Boba's gang. Despite Mudder's awareness that they had entered a shop and should have been cornered, Diddy eventually spilled the beans, revealing that the police had intervened and rescued them. To add to the twist, the police had also spoken with Zaid after hearing Diddy's account. It dawned on Mudder that Zaid had been functioning as an undercover agent for a federal operative all along. Shortly after, as Zaid and Jansen were heading home, Mudder's gang ambushed them. Intent on eliminating Zaid upon discovering his role as a spy, Zaid managed to outsmart them, ensuring his son's safe arrival at his ex-wife's residence. Before Jansen exited the car, Zaid apologized for not being the best dad. As Zaid was about to return to his apartment, he urgently contacted Helen to inform her that his cover had been blown. However, before he could complete the call, Mudder's men caught him off guard, swiftly ushering him into a car headed for an ominous location where torture awaited. When they arrived, Mudder insisted on talking to Zaid over the phone, expressing deep disappointment for the betrayal. Mudder ominously declared that Jansen and Zaid's ex-wife would face dire consequences. Zaid earnestly implored Mudder to spare his loved ones, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Jimmy mentioned that Mudder himself would oversee the harm to Zaid's family and inquired if Zaid had any last messages to convey. In the midst of this, Zaid discreetly worked on freeing himself and, at a crucial moment, launched an attack on Jimmy, successfully subduing him. Following this, Zaid hurried to Mudder's main base with the intent to neutralize all of Mudder's henchmen. He took decisive action, including unfortunately taking one person's life outside before entering the headquarters, giving orders to eliminate Mudder's entire crew. When Zaid reached the top room, Mudder was absent. Instead, he found a group of recently recruited young men under Mudder. Zaid disarmed them, encouraging them to go home, including Diddy. Just as the young men left, Mudder unexpectedly appeared, shooting Zaid in the leg and knocking him down. As Mudder was about to deliver the final blow, Diddy returned, pointing his gun at Mudder. Realizing he had strayed down the wrong path, Diddy took this opportunity to intervene. Zaid, seizing the moment, shot Mudder, bringing an end to the ordeal. Afterward, Zaid asked Diddy to pledge that he would never venture into the criminal world again. The moral of this tale is that, even in the bleakest circumstances, people can find redemption and make amends for their past mistakes. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.